How are you getting
Hey,
on?
Michael. Good. And how are you getting on?
Grand leather seats in that car. You're earning a good wage, I'd say.
Yeah, I won't talk to the revenue man about that just yet.
Good man. Thanks a million for joining us. Obviously, the Laois final this weekend. We'll talk about the two teams involved in a second. From your own point of view, never simple the week or 10 days after when you're knocked out of a championship. It's always it's kind of house private for 10 days after, really, isn't it? It's kind of a sickener. You're always hoping that you're going to get on a run and hoping it's going to be your year. So what have the last week or 10 days been like?
Yeah, to be honest, this is our 4th year in a row, losing 4 semi-finals in a row. So it's actually been the hardest one for me, personally. Anyway, I don't know what the rest of them are like because we barely spoke, I suppose, since. But it's hard, yeah. It's very hard. So I just booking flights, to be honest with you, trying to take the mind off it and trying to grieve it in your own little way. But it's difficult, yeah.
You have to kind of make the best of a bad situation. I remember years ago, it's 5 years ago now, we were beaten in a quarter final. Borough were beaten in a quarter final. I said, geez, how am I going to get over this? So McGregor was fighting in Vegas about 3 weeks later, and it was my birthday weekend as well. I says, I'm getting accreditation for that, and I'm going covering that, and I'm going to go and gamble for 5 days and enjoy myself. But you have to kind of take it, whatever. There's not much of a silver lining, but you kind of have to take it and find it, don't you?
Yeah, that's it. If I started gambling, there wouldn't be leather seats under my arse right now. So I'll avoid Vegas. So I'm actually going to London tomorrow. So that's my plan. I'm trying to get tickets to the Arsenal City match with my girlfriend there and going tomorrow just to get away for the weekend and kind of take her head out of Laois, I suppose, because I live at home in Rathdowney. So you're kind of consumed by hurling all year round. So just want to take myself out of it for the weekend. So that's my plan. It's no Vegas, but it'll do me.
You were a tasty enough soccer player back in the day. I remember someone telling me, are you the first or the only person to get scholarship to UCD for soccer and hurling?
Well, if there's another one, I'd be very surprised, to be honest with you. And I'd tell you one thing, there's no one that went on FIFA and got a hurling or Laois championship county final in 1 year. That's for sure anyway. I don't know about the scholarship bit. But yeah, that was a rarity. But went up in a soccer scholarship and ended on a hurling one. So had great times up there.
Yeah, Jesus, that's a fair achievement in itself. All right. Just to look at the county final at the weekend, St. Nazarian's Abbey Leaks coming up against Camross. Just talk me through your own game with Abbey Leaks. I think you came from 7 down to force extra time. You probably would have been, probably would have more experience at that stage than them. It took a fair bit from them to kick on and win even in extra time, because he probably had the experience of county finals wins maybe that they don't, but by all accounts they seem to have a hell of a lot of young fellas that have won nearly everything the whole way up, and a backbone on the side with the likes of Enda Rowland as well.
Yeah, and just to go back to the match itself, they were actually 10 up in the second half and we just got it back by a bit of luck and we had to win and we got a few goals, but justified winners are there. And it's no surprise to anyone in Laois that they're beginning to see some success. Like their minors are in a final just before their seniors on Sunday as well, and that's going on for the last 5 to 8 years as well. Under 20s, you'd see all the underage Laois teams would be fairly littered with Abbey Leaks players as well. So it's no surprise to people in Laois that it's coming. They've been knocking on the door a few years, and then as you say, Enda Rowland is there. Yeah, Oisin Carroll, fullback. He's an excellent fullback, one of the best fullbacks in Laois there for the last 10 years. So they have two really good leaders there, right at the heart of their team. And then like Owen Fennelly and that their years, but they're going to drive on forward. They're probably a bit like Kilcormac will be in Offaly. I think Michael, they have a serious backbone of players in the next 5 years. I think them and the Harps will probably be nearly the strongest two teams in Laois. So there's going to be a change in Laois, I think, in the next 5 or 6 years, because the strongest underage teams are going to come through to the senior teams, and that's what we're seeing with Abbey Leaks today. But I think it's their first time in 72 years. I drove through Abbey Leaks the other day and littered with flags and bunting and everything. There's a savage buzz there, so they're going to be, gunning for Sunday, and they can't wait for it.
I hope you don't think I'm sowing the boot in here, but when you drive through somewhere and they have all the flags out and you're not involved, because I've been in that position several times, it's a tough one. It's a tough one, because all you want to do is be driving through your own village or your own town and see, like, because you can actually, when you see all the flags out and all the signs out and you are involved, I don't know, it does something kind of funny to you. It's there's nothing like it. And then it's like the grieving element when you're going through another village and you're thinking, Jesus, I'd give my left arm to be there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's two things came to my head when you're saying that. Number one, can I close my eyes going through this village, but you'd only crash the car. The second thing was, Balacolla obviously dominated Laois for the last 3 years, and they're super club as well. But they're my next door club, will say. So there's 2 ways to get to Portlaoise, and I have to go to Portlaoise 10 times a week. So there's the motorway or go through Balacolla. So safe to say I didn't see Balacolla for the last 4 years nearly. So it's always the motorway. It used to cost me a fortune.
Just a quick one on your semi-final. I'd say you were cursing Enda Rowland when that puck ended up in the back of the net, but you would know what he's capable of down through the years. Like, he has, like, Jesus, when you're looking at thinking of lads that have a woeful snap of the ball, like, there's no one better probably in the country than him.
Yeah, I'd have him up with the best keepers, top 3 in Ireland for the last 10 years. I know there's some people say it, but I don't think people across the country know actually how good he is. And like, there's times I'd be practicing frees or whatever for Laois before training or after training, and you think that's just the done thing as a free taker, you'd stay on. But you don't see the keeper before and after training doing more than what I'd be doing. And that's what Enda does. And I remember there used to be a saying like, Henry Shefflin's not Henry Shefflin because he practices free, or he's always practicing. He practices because he is Henry Shefflin. It's just the proof is in the pudding with Enda. He just puts in more time than the outfield players. It's as simple as that, and kind of shows in the bigger games, but it shows in every game really. And I knew when he had the wind for that game that it was going to be dangerous, whether it's going to land in the square and someone else is going to pull on it, or he's going to nearly score a goal or a point, which turned out to be a goal. But it's a serious asset for any team. Like, and we're lucky to have him in Laois, and we'd only be glad to have him in my club as well.
I was only speaking to him yesterday, actually, just ahead of a piece on Saturday, and just even for any goalkeepers out there, he just said he actually practiced puck outs both ends before the match started, just so he'd know exactly how far his puck out was going. And whenever he hit into the town end, he noticed it was landing down around the 13. So it's gas, like, you have a fair idea of what's going to happen. Like, he knows where he can put it or whatever, and he obviously did put it into that area. I know if I was playing full back, I wouldn't like to see a puck out coming down on top of me anyway. But he's able to mix it long and short as well, isn't he? Like, he can do those boomers 120 yards, but he could put the ball through an uneven needle 70 yards to someone on the run or whatever as well.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest difference, Michael. Like, you'd often be at matches there, and the keeper would have one asset, a big long strike of a ball, could go to 100 yards or whatever, but that's fine. An odd player in the club, every fucking club would have that player, but it's the player that can put the ball into your hand from 80 yards on the run in your actual, just in the, so you don't have to break your stride. That's what Enda has, and like, there's not too many has it. Dawn Murphy, Nicky Quaid, and I think Enda Rowland, it's simple as that. There's not too many has the same ability, and then he's as brave as anything as well. Like, he saved, I think, 2 if not 3 point blank saves, just getting out from his line, blocking our guys taking a shot. If it was any other keeper, they would have buried it because the keeper wouldn't have been out as fast. But he just throws himself at a ball as it's being struck. And yeah, so I can't say much more. I think he's top class.
Lads that are watching hurling like week in, week out know how good he is. But like, are we a bit guilty in the GA? Like, should we be seeing a lot more of the McDonagh Cup? Like, should we be seeing a lot more Enda Rowland, yourself, and like my own club, my own Cattle, all these ways? Should there be matches like? Should it be front and centre a lot more? I know the McDonagh Cup final is on or whatever, but I was actually only speaking to Enda about it yesterday. There's a decent wedge of Talton Cup games, say, would be broadcast live or whatever, even on telly. Like, does the second tier hurling championship need to have more live matches? Do we need to be seeing more of these players to give them a higher profile, and so we realise just how good they are as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's, again, the first thing comes to my head is like championship soccer in coming up to playoff season every year. Everyone's hooked on it. We're all looking for the Irish talent in it, and it's on. It's billed as the most lucrative game in the world. $100 million euro game is the final. There's not much about the Joe McDonagh Cup. Like, can we build the whole, the whole back end? Like, it's very interesting last year with say Laois, Offaly and Carlow. It all came to the last game, but there wasn't a whole lot about it. The final was it streamed on YouTube? I don't even know. Was it on?
I think it was live, in fairness. I think it was live on an RT1 Saturday night. Yeah, that was the only game that would have been live though, yeah.
Yeah, apologies. But no, I think there's just, look, simple as that. The Tailteann Cup, I even run behind the Tailteann Cup as as a Laois fan, football-wise as well, but just in general, because I see it on my socials a lot. I don't see much on the Joe McDonagh. I think there could be a lot more done to promote it. Super games, as you would know, being an Offaly man, and I'd know being a Laois game, it's very tight. And the counties that are involved are seriously passionate about it. We just mightn't have the same depth to compete with all Ireland stages, but we love it. And nothing can take that away from them. But I definitely think maybe just inspire the future generations, inspire the 18 to 22-year-olds from all the counties to say there is a reward at the end of this if you really want to pursue the Joe McDonagh or whatever. Because like we're in it this year, and I know for a fact there's Laois players probably considering whether to go in next year because of it. Is the exposure there? Is it worth it? You know, they're going back training in a couple of weeks' time. Like, is there a reward there? Just little things like that. I just think they could acknowledge it a lot more.
Just going back to the Laois final, Ross, obviously Camross on the other side, they obviously took down Ballacalla, Clock Ballacalla, woeful drama in that. Jesus Christ. Just a quick one, actually. As a player, what do you make of penalties? What do you make of going out on penalties? Or what do you make of penalties in general, win or losing, right or wrong?
Wrong.
Why?
I think they're wrong. Yeah. Why? It's a good question. I don't even know I have a great answer here, but it's just in that match in particular, Michael, it was the worst game you could play a hurling match in, and some of the best strikers in Laois were miss-hitting balls, fumbling balls into the back of the net. So I don't know, was it a fair reflection of you just want a fair ending to the game. And I know, like Zane Keenan struck a ball over the bar. I said that probably sliced off his hurl. Picky scored the only goal for Ballacalla, and I think it just dribbled in. Willie Dunphy. I just think some of the best strikers in Laois, they were probably at a fair strike at it. I always think a replay is the fairest. The fairest result comes after 2 full games. Like, fair enough, a good team could be caught by a poor team on one day, but over 2 days, the good team should always win over the 2 legs. So I think that's the fairest way. But of course, the fixture congestion, it doesn't always kind of cater for that. But no, I wouldn't be gone on penalties. I love it from the drama point of view, but I don't know is it the fairest way to go out.
Like, how would you feel? Like, I can't imagine what the Clock Ballacalla lads feel like. You're out of the championship, but to me, you haven't been beaten. Do you know what I mean? If you're beaten on the field of play and the team score, one more point than you, you're beaten and it's fair and square. Whereas, I can't imagine how the Armagh footballers feel the last couple of years, beaten in 2 All-Ireland quarterfinals on penalties and beaten in an Ulster final on penalties. Like, you'd be absolutely sick. But just from a Camross point of view, they were beaten comprehensively in the county final last year. They've obviously upped a couple of gears. They gave us a bit of a trimming in the Leinster League final this year as well. They've obviously brought through a few guys and got a bit more experience from last year because they're after getting themselves in a really good position now.
Yeah, Camross are funny. Like, they're obviously one of the best clubs in Laois I think they could be nearly the best club in Laois because for the last 100 years, they're always either competing or winning. But also from underage all the way up to senior, they're always still competing. Like my own club, Rathdowney Earl, we're struggling a little bit underage at the moment. And that we were super for maybe the previous 10 before that. And we go through cycles. I don't think Camross have a cycle apart from kind of breeding more hurlers. So they're always thereabouts. They're always competing. Play them again in 30 years' time, they'll probably be competing for county titles again. But yeah, another club that has some super talent. I seen Tom Cuddy, a new young lad. I think he's only out in minor, scored 2 goals.
I think he was man of the match the last day. It was one of his first games of adult hurling. Like, that's some going. And then, like, my probably favourite 2 young lads in Laois at the moment, Mossy Keys and Dan Delaney. I think like they're going to be leading Laois for the next 10 years. If Dan Delaney's just nearly like a carbon copy of Zane Keenan to me, he's a beautiful striker off his right, free takers and place balls, and he's out around the half-hour line. And then Mossy Keys is like Messi. Like, I think he's going to win. The game will hinge on him. Their group stage game, Camross played Abbeyleix. I think there's nearly 10 points in it, but Mossy had 2-5, I think, from play. So I think the game is quite even apart from Mossy Keys to me. I think Abbeyleix don't have a Mossy Keys, and he can make or break Camross. That's my belief in the game. I hope he doesn't hear this in case he thinks too much of pressure on himself, but he has the ability there to turn a game inside out. He's small and he's savage balance, great striker at both sides, and he takes on his man is his number 1 that he wants to do every time. So
you know, a lot hinges on him. But Camera says the club, like, they're phenomenal what they're doing. Like, just year in, year out. We played them under 15s the other night. I was at it, and they still have savage hurlers coming through under 15. You just wonder where's the end to them, but they're just decent, like.
Yeah, sounds like they're a bit like Coolderry and Offaly, who they just always keep producing. You were just mentioning there about Camrus, the 26 county titles. They done back-to-back in 2017, 2018. Haven't won one since. We're beaten in the final last year. But they're probably narrow favourites going into this game, are they? Just with the fact they took down the champions, I'd say.
Yeah, they are definitely favourites, but it wouldn't be much in it, I'd say. It's just because they took down Ballacalla number 1, but number 2, they bet Abbelig's fairly convincingly in the group stage. But yeah, they'll be favourites. But I don't think anyone will rule out Abbelig's that have seen them in the last couple of weeks, especially against our game, because the talent all over, to be honest. And it's going to be an interesting game because you have, I suppose, the aristocrats playing the newcomers, like, and I think it's the first final in 72 years or something with Abbelig. So, you know, it's a kind of it's a deadly occasion for Abbelig's as such. But
You'll be getting out a Dodge to make sure you're not around for it, though.
So I'll be buying Arteta pints there, hoping he signs me in on an out-lad contract or something. That's all I'll be doing.
Just a quick one, Ross. Last weekend, there was a good bit of talk about it. There was a motion at Special Congress to get rid of the preliminary All-Ireland quarter-finals, but they have I don't know if it's a stay of execution or not, but they're definitely in for another year or two at least. You're probably best placed to talk about the preliminary quarterfinals, and that you were the only one of the 8 teams that have competed that actually won their preliminary quarterfinal. Just talk to me about that. Like, looking from afar, were you hoping that they stayed in? Is it only natural that when Tier 2 counties play Tier 1, that there's going to be a few trimmings along the way, but that year there's an outlier? You were the outlier, obviously. There will always be upsets if you play the games for long enough. But just talk to me about it. Like, what the preliminary quarterfinals, I'd say, mean a hell of a lot to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I got the email through from GPA, and just like you do get some emails there and you just delete them before you look at them. But when I seen this, I said, I'm going to give it my time, and I did. I sat down, I thought about my answers, and I submitted them, and they were all listened to. And I seen the feedback was they linked up some of the answers the players gave, and I'll just feed back some of this to yourself. But basically, my thinking of it is the winners should always have an opportunity to play a preliminary quarter-final. The losers of the final, I don't think they should have an opportunity to play it. And I'll explain that. The winners, number 1, they're going on to play in that higher level the following year. So why would you take that opportunity from them when they're coming off a win and great confidence and there's a buzz about the county? Give them, supporters and players, the chance to test themselves the following week or 2 weeks, whenever it is, to test themselves. As we've seen, I hate the way we're nearly the one reference. I hope some other team does it after the win, Joe McDonagh, because it feels so long ago and we're kind of hanging on to that win at this stage, it feels. But it happened, and it was probably the best day I had in a Laois jersey. And if that wasn't to be there, you know, I would have had a 10-year Laois career by, you know, I would have felt fairly unfulfilled if I didn't have that super day in Port Laois that day. So I think it'd be a massive loss and pulling the rug from between your legs if they took that from us, the winners of the Joe McDonagh going to preliminary quarter final. But I think on the loser end, I think they should be let just go about their year, just be finished up on that day, because it's difficult. It's difficult to go from losing a final, building up your whole year to lose a final, and then inevitably you're playing probably 3rd place of Munster, and they're I tell you, they're heavy beatings, and it's not a justified result, I don't think, because I think there's probably nearly a 10-point extra loss taken because the interest is gone, Michael. You know, if you lost the county final, you have to go play the losers of Laois in the county final the following week. You have no interest playing it.
Yeah, and listen, Ross, chances are that there's a couple of little fallouts, and lads have their nose out of joint over not getting on. When you lose a match, that's the nature of it. It's so hard to pick it up. I totally agree with you. I think it's great for the winners. I was only chatting to Tom O'Lally about this recently. It's great for the winners who, as you said, are in the competition next year. They have their panel that year. They might have everyone they want. They mightn't have them next year, but at least they're getting a shot at that given year. And like, I don't know how many people were in O'Moore Park that day, but it felt like there was about 25,000 there. And like, it's an occasion. Like, I can't imagine what that does for hurling in the county and for young fellas and young ones in the county as well. So I'd agree with you. Yeah, I don't see why the losers have been rewarded. Really, it feels a bit kind of tokenistic almost.
Yeah, no, it's complete tokenism. They don't want it. The players don't want it. The management don't want it. Even though there might be an odd one come on to socials and say they do, they don't. I can tell you from a player's point of view, I don't want to train on Tuesday after losing a final to go play likes of a Cork. And I know that could be defeatist kind of an attitude, but it's a realism attitude to me. Just forget about the losers, but the winners has to be honoured. Simple as that.
Yeah, I remember you telling me. I think I got you the day after that game, and I remember you telling me that there was young lads on the pitch and they were looking for everything off you. There was one lad even nearly looking for your boxers off you.
You wouldn't want them that day.
But yeah, that was an unbelievable day. Yeah, and even like you performed with credit against Tipperary a week later in All Ireland quarter final, I'd say.
Yeah, we did. It was actually week on week. So 3 weeks in a row. We won the Joe Mac on the Sunday. Played Tip the following Sunday. We played Dublin the following Sunday, and then the following again was Tip. So we had 3 weeks in a row. I think we lost by 9. We had one lad sent off, and funnily enough, we came closer than Kilkenny did in the final. That's not a dig, but we got a little kick off it, all right. But so we had a super 3 weeks. But again, none of that would have been possible without that opportunity to play that preliminary final, so quarter final. So whoever ever listens to this up above, I hope they do, and just grant it forevermore, and they can change the losers. That's all.
Something you mentioned earlier about the lads going back in a couple of weeks with Laois, and it made me wonder whether you were going back, and I presume you are going back.
You know what to say about presumptions now. I don't know, Michael, is the genuine answer. I actually did talk to Willie maybe last week and just take a little bit of time. I have a bad knee, I have a Banjack's knee, I have no real cartilage left on one of my knees, so I have to get another injection on that, and that kind of I want to build it up. But I'll see how I am and feeling body and head wise maybe next spring. But at the moment I'm just going to take a bit of time off to myself.
It's funny, some older players have set the template, I think, for other lads and what maybe other lads around their 30s should be doing. Shane O'Donnell played no league last year, will probably be an all-star. Or this year, I should say, will probably be an all-star. TJ Reid played no league, made his first appearance in the first round of the Leinster Championship. I think when you get to that age, it's all about trying to make sure you're on the pitch. That's my own opinion anyway. So I'd imagine Willie might give you a little bit of rope. Just a couple of comments in there. P-Well74 says, apart from live games, what does RT do to promote GA? Rugby and soccer both have magazine programme during the week, but no GA. Is it ever frustrating from a player's point of view that, you know, that maybe we're not promoting our games as much as we should be? Like, I always feel from a player's point of view that they should probably talk where they possibly can to promote the game and promote their county and promote their club, etc. But do you think like the national broadcaster is doing enough, we'll say, to promote the likes of the Joe McDonagh, to promote the likes of Lee Shoffley, etc.?
I don't. Simple answer, no. But I also think from the player point of view, like, I know players don't really want to, they don't put themselves forward, and I don't put myself forward. Like, I done this because yourself, but we don't generally do much. We're not loud and proud, or we don't beat the drum on social media. It's like you'd see the soccer players, young lads, they're all on Twitter after any match. Like, you know, if someone put up a tweet after a Laois match, we'd all be there'd be WhatsApp groups created about that fella. So like, it's an attitude in Ireland where like stay within your lanes, maybe within from the player point of view, but if it was more accessible or more approachable from above to create that environment where we could build it, you know, whereas RTs maybe come down to Laois hurlers and do a training night, you know, watch us train and do a few interviews and put it up on a 5-minute segment or something.
Yeah,
you know, that could build it. Something small and simple. That just came out in my head. But there's generally nothing. Like, I'm 11 years at Laois and I captained them twice, and I'd say the max I've seen from exposure was a couple of photo shoots for a Leinster campaign, and like where are they gone to? I don't have a clue. Like, but I just don't see enough. I don't see anything really. Like, we just train away for 6 or 8 months, and there's nothing done about it, whereas I think they could build it. And it's not about just building it for the sake of it. I think it's all about, like, I'm gone 30 now, so I'm thinking about the next lads coming on and trying to drive on my club a little bit with underage. What can they see? What are they seeing day to day on their social medias? They're not seeing nothing about Laois, so they can go play soccer or rugby or mightn't just do it at all. Whereas when I was growing up, I was immersed with GA. Like, I was obsessed to play club senior with my club and Laois, so I was just immersed in that. But I think there's so many opportunities to go elsewhere now for young lads. They mightn't be so immersed, but can we, immerse them through, subtle manipulation on socials by feeding out things like leash hurling or off-leash hurling or Joe McDonagh's excitable competition. Let's fill out a more park for this big game and give, free entry to under 18s or something. There can be plenty of initiatives there to just entice them in. There could be more done. I know there's little bits going on, but definitely more should be done.
It's gas. I was chatting to Darragh O'Donovan just for a piece for the paper on Saturday, and I can't forget the two lads' names, but he said there were two Premier League players, and they basically do a podcast where they chat about the game that's passed and the next game. I can't remember who he said they were, and he just said, like, if that was in the GA, like, you'd probably ran out of your club and maybe ran out of your county. There's probably a bit of an attitude change needed there. It's almost like, I don't know, you're kind of nearly like public property in a way. Like, I don't know if you even take a pint or whatever, but if lads, like, I remember Brendan Matter saying to me he had I think it was like a pint of Sidona or something down the pub one night when he was playing with Tip, and someone come up to him and was like, what are you doing drinking? It's almost like you're letting people down even by doing anything. It's kind of crazy, really, when you think about it, considering what you're actually doing for those people.
Yeah, I think it's just an Irish mentality, really. We view things fairly negatively straight away. Like, if you're seen in the pub, he's drunk, or if you miss the training session, you think he's hungover in bed. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have a proper answer for you, Michael, but it's mountains out of molehills, and you would be conscious maybe at certain times, not as me, like leash hurler, like you go into a pub, you could probably drink your 8 pints and they'd probably tell you didn't have any pints. But I think there is a funny thing. The top players, you'll always see the argument with the rugby guys and the GA guys. You always see that the boys with rugby, they have their couple of bottles of beer after the games, but that's probably where it's left at, whereas the GA lads have to go mad. I always remember, though, with soccer, after hurling match release, you're very focused getting your carbs and proteins in and all that, and that's great. But with soccer, I'd go play a UCD game, soccer, away from home. We get a bus down, just say to Cork, play Cork City, and then as we got on the bus to go back to Dublin, there was 20 Domino's pizzas and 20 cans of 7-Up or Coke at the front seat of the coach as you're getting on, and you pick whatever pizza and can you get on you wanted and go on and eat it on the way up. But just such a simple thing. Like, if that photo was out on Twitter with GA, like, they'd say you're unprofessional or sack the nutritionists. But Jesus, you're after burning so many carbs playing the soccer match, and it was something that you wanted to eat and getting your carbs back in just in an easy way. But that would be probably received so poorly in the GA community. Like, they're not taking it seriously.
Yeah. It's gas. I often heard that about soccer, that they can be after a match, they can basically do what they want for that day, because you're after expending so much and burning off so much that you basically need to load back up. So yeah, that would be a good picture, all right, if you said it was a GA bus. Just go through a couple of quick comments. Ross, and I'll let you go then. GA don't do enough to promote the games, lads. I think this is a good comment. Gareth Brooks has played more in Croke Park than 99% of GA players in the last 5 years. Very true, Traumspieler. Richard Hogan just says there about media kind of activity. Nobody wants to put the head above the parapet. Interviews can be taken out of context too. This week's interview is next week's motivation for your opponents. Yeah, I think there's a bit of a trust issue between the media and players and county boards and management that probably needs to be resolved, and we probably need to be, not necessarily myself, but we as a collective probably need to be a bit better in that regard. Ross, last question, and I'll let you go on this. Who are the Laois 2023 county champions come 5 o'clock Sunday?
I'm going to go Camrys by 4.
Camrys by 4, okay. But you think Abbey Leaks are going to be there for the long haul, even if they don't get over the line on Sunday?
I do. I think they're strong all over. They'll have savage enthusiasm. They've as I said, they've End and Oisin Carroll kind of at the back to kind of man the fort a bit. So I think they're going to be thereabouts. And as I said, I think a lot comes down to Mossy Keys. If he's flying, Cameras will get the win. If he's not flying, it's going to be kind of a very even game. And I think it can go either way then.
Great stuff. Ross, thanks a million for your time. And hopefully next spring we'll see you back in a Laois jersey with a bit of luck.
Yeah, thanks very much, Michael. All the best, yeah.
Cheers, Ross. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.